went to Luke Combs, drank too many beers. That's the life update from me. Um, but no, back on track now. Like comps, like just over 2 months away. So
Nice.
off season, sort of like strength's been down there, but the actual like honing in
Yeah,
stuff is like really starting to come in now. So
yeah,
I've only got one drinking event probably between then and now, which will be my birthday.
yeah, true.
So,
Yeah,
and that's 30, so I'm not drinking.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
like,
fuck, fair.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a big birthday, so I'll do that. But yeah, in terms of everything else, sort of dials in a bit more focused. Cals drop a little bit now just to hone back in on
Get lighter.
on
Yeah.
being lighter. Hit a good bench the other day though. Um, I hit a PR, but or like equal PR, I should say. But questionable spotting
Yeah.
hovering over the bar. But in terms of that, like, it still moved heaps faster than like what I had before.
Yeah.
And then I made that like post this morning about like progress doesn't always have to be
Yeah, yeah.
whatever,
Yeah, I saw that.
which I guess sort of leads into our topic in terms of, well, it doesn't, but it does in terms of like how people just give up straight away, right? Because they're not seeing
Yeah.
progress. So it's like
Yeah,
different ways to see, or more than one way to see progress. So you're not just focused on like lifting the weight you're lifting or the scales, like the weight on the scales. It's having a few different ideas of like what is progression.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily that sort of face value progression. But yeah, what about you, man? Training's good.
Yeah, training's good, man. Like, no real life update. The only like life update. It's not even a life update. It's just like this morning, I went down. Literally just then, I went down to put my fucking washing on, and like some fucker in my building keeps using my washing machine.
Is it just your washing machine?
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Okay.
So and like it'd be fine. I'm not the kind of person to be like, don't fucking use my washing machine in the communal laundry. But they keep leaving the fucking door closed, and if you leave it if you use a washing machine and you leave the door closed, it gets moldy in the
Yeah,
fucking
it looks
drum.
fucking shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I don't want my clothes to smell like mold.
Yeah,
So like,
100%.
it's getting to the point. Like it's happened for a long time now, but now I'm like, fuck, I might just start taking my hose back every time I wash my clothes, because then they can't get water into the washing
Can you
machine.
like put a sign on it?
I could probably
So-
put a sticky note, but I just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Gone from being too nice to now just being like completely opposite.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Don't even want to go halfway with the
No, fuck no. Yeah, yeah.
Nah.
No, because like, I don't know. If I do the note thing, there was when we inspected this place, me and my missus.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, the laundry area is down the back," and we went and checked it, and there was a like in chalk writing on the chalkboard near the fucking fuse boxes and shit, like, "Don't steal my laundry powder. We're all adults, rah rah." Rah.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, we're all adults. I have free will. I can just take my washing machine. Like, I can just
Yeah.
take my cord. And no one can fucking
Yeah,
use
yeah,
it."
fair. Fair enough.
So, anyways,
Play that.
that's just me being a grumpy old at the ripe old age of 21. Topic today, we're going to discuss barriers to entry with fitness and goals,
Yeah.
where most people fall apart and where the barriers fall apart, so that you can like more effectively punch
Yeah.
through them. Yeah, I think you had a few really good points to do first up. and
Yeah,
then we'll
like I
touch
think
on-
it's more just obviously we'll go in depth, but it's that simple, I guess, where to start,
Yeah.
how to start, and I guess for us it's more like explaining to or giving people tools to do it, but like there's also that part. It's like you don't have to go 0 to 100.
Yeah,
Like if you go to 0 to 100, that's when you're gonna burn out quicker or whatever. So it's, I guess, about building up intensity of it slowly, getting knowledge behind you as well. So, yeah, in terms of, I guess, where to start is, well, like where would you want to, what are you thinking?
Yeah. I think like I've got written down here. There's like 4 main barriers to entry
Yeah,
for people, and then we can break those down into subcategories and stuff as we go. But
yeah.
I think the 4 main barriers are like time, energy,
Yeah,
intensity, or like intensity. Let's go with intensity.
Yeah.
And then knowledge. So I think the knowledge one that's sort of the last thing on the list for now. I think there's a lot of information on the internet that people are exposed to that like could potentially just help them if they applied it. But it's more the application of the decent knowledge. I know there's a lot of shit knowledge out there as well.
There's also a lot of shit knowledge, shit advice.
But I think there's a difference between taking at face value what somebody's selling you and then like knowledge that somebody's giving. Like somebody like Lane Norton isn't just saying blatant shit on the internet.
No,
he's providing value and knowledge.
And he's got stats behind it to prove it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess like kicking it off, I think with intensity, time and energy, there's a quote that I really like. It's like, you can only have 2 of 3 at one time. You have time, energy, and effort. No. Time, energy, and like peace of mind.
Yeah.
So like, you can only have 2 of them at a time. So if you have time and energy, you don't have peace of mind. And if you have peace of mind and energy, you don't have time. Yeah. Wait, no, I've fucked this up somewhere. I've fucked it up. Nah,
it's all right. Clip that.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut that out. I'm gonna cut that out so I don't seem like a fucking idiot.
No.
But yeah, so like with the amount of things that we're juggling in life, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd see it almost as 2 things of like time and energy. You either have one or the other.
Yeah.
Most people don't have time, or claim they don't have time. We'll break that down in a second. So the way they have to rely on is their energy and their motivation. Yeah. Which is integral to actually like continuing like consistent behavior change, is keeping that motivation and energy high. Yep. But the problem there is energy doesn't last forever. You'll hit a wall. Whether you're built to go through that wall or not will determine whether or not you actually keep doing the thing that you need to do to progress. Yeah. But yeah, I think, do you want to touch on time as a concept first, of like the common excuses and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, like, I guess when I started out, you probably had that mindset a couple of times as well, and it's like you hear it, everyone's got so many hours in the day, blah blah blah, like, but they don't. No. And like they don't, but at the same time, that does become an overused excuse. I mean, I can't talk. I get quite a few hours off during the middle of the day to train and do what we need to do. So, I'm already at the gym. So for us to go from work to the gym is 2 hour bag to change a shirt, or quickly go to the bathroom, and we're already at the gym. Like, you're already there. A lot of people, traveling to and from takes time. Kids, family, life, work, all takes time, or time out of your day. So it reduces the amount of time to train. But for me, man, I think it's just like people have to create those habits. And a lot of people, they tend to, I guess, make the excuse, or you hear it quite a few times as well, where you hear like, I'll start when I'm like, well, it's when I'm not busy, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we'll just start when I'm not busy, or I got some time off, so I've decided to like kickstart my training. Yeah. And it's like, cool, like that's good that that's one of the things you want to do while you've got time. Yeah. But like, what happens when you then don't have time? School goes back, after school holidays, or like you go back to work, whatever it is. There's always going to be a time where that all takes over again. So for me, it's like, you've got to try and build that into your schedule. And it's not necessarily about motivation to get up early or go after work, for example, as like the main 2 time frames where people would train. It's not so much, obviously motivation's part of it, right? You've got to have the motivation to hit the intensity. But in terms of just showing up and just like going and starting that progress, or that consistency is probably a better word. It's about fitting that, or making it work in your schedule, no matter if you're busy or not. And I think building that strong routine is one of the things that people fall off on. And it's like, oh, I miss one day, and then they just miss like 5 in a row. It's like, cool, you miss one day, just go again. And I always think about it. I think about it from a point of view of, it's not a motivation issue. Like, it just has to be part of your routine. It has to be, you need to think of it like an appointment, and you've booked that appointment in your schedule, and you have to turn up to it. And once you do that enough, it just becomes part of your normal daily life.
Yeah.
And like I've seen people both ends of when I say both ends in terms of training consistency and fitness level, you know, both have families, both have busy jobs, full-time jobs, but like some make it work and make sure they turn up early, or they go before the kids wake up, or they have a schedule with their partner so they both can train. And then other people, it's just an excuse of kids, blah blah blah. Which like the kids stuff and like different social things that happens, right?
Yeah,
and even the fit guys or the people that are consistent. Fuck off, Google. So yeah, like even the guys that are consistent obviously have days where they don't show up.
Yeah.
But the thing that separates them from the ones that aren't in shape is that like they might have that 1 or 2 days where a kid's sick, or you know, we have to work back or late hours or work away or whatever, but they turn up again. So they come back and they go, okay, yep, we had a weekend away or we did whatever, but that we go back, we start again, back in normal routine. And that's the most important part, I reckon, in terms of time. Learning to fit into your schedule can be difficult, but it's just at the end of the day, like you have to, like unless you just want to get making excuses. But simple fact is, don't like you can't wait till you got free time, because you're never gonna have free time. And even if, like I said, even if you're doing that specific week or two, that's gonna get filled back up again. And then what's the first thing to go in your mind when it's the newest thing, or the thing that seems hard, or it's not part of your normal schedule. So make it part of your normal schedule, and it's the one thing you'll probably stick to.
Yeah. I think the entire concept of like free time is flawed. Especially like it's a lot easier for you and me to see the correlation between our time and our like money, like our actual, like we have a second metric to measure our time by, because like we know our hourly rate that we charge clients and whatever. And so you can think of something as free time, but it's like, okay, a client just hit me up in what was free time. It's not free time anymore because I can earn money in that time. So that's like one thing, particularly like busy people or people that work around the clock, people who have like a reasonable excuse to say that they don't have the time. Free time is not a thing that really exists in their calendar unless they block it out. So like they're already blocking time out. I think with the blocking time out and scheduling and all that kind of thing, people like severely overestimate their routine and their capability to implement something new. I think people are pretty generally terrible at taking stock of their day, myself included. Like,
we all are.
Oh man, the amount of times that I've been like, this thing will take me like half an hour, and then 2 hours later I'm fucking cleaning my dishes because it took me way longer to go buy chicken because I didn't realize I was out of chicken and I had to whatever. So like being honest with yourself when you actually look at your schedule and seeing when you can fit the time in, but also understanding that you probably don't need as much time dedicated. Like if we're talking specifically about the gym, you probably don't need as much time dedicated as you think you do. I know lawyers and stuff who will go and train on their lunch break. They get an hour for lunch. That's
the same.
Might take them 10, 15 minutes depending. Like these guys work in the city, so they're probably really close to a gym. But that's still, you know, they've got 40 minutes to get a session in. And like these are fucking fit looking dudes. Like if anyone needs time in the gym, it's these guys. I think what's that ridiculous? I think Lane Norton fucking preaches about it all the time. About something like 40 minutes combined exercise a week is like
enough to maintain.
No, it's enough to like it's enough to add like 8 years or something to your life expectancy. The health metrics are ridiculous for like
40 minutes a week.
Yeah, total like combined effort. I think I can't remember entirely, but I think they did do cross study of like 2 20-minute sessions and then 4 10-minute sessions, and it was like almost the same. So yeah, just like be honest with yourself. Like it's really easy to run away with the motivation and be like, I'm gonna fucking train 4 or 5 days a week. I'm gonna do cardio in the morning and then training in the afternoon, and like try and live like a bodybuilder when, you know, if you are a bodybuilder, you've probably already selected the lifestyle that fits around the gym rather than the other way around. So
just to touch on that though, like you said, not everyone has to be a bodybuilder.
No.
You don't have to train to be a bodybuilder or whatever, like the triathlete that has to train for hours a day.
Yeah.
Like 20 minutes, half hour, like a day, every second day is going to be enough to at least get you kick started. Obviously what's the word I'm looking for? Like obviously matched or with nutrition, food, other knowledge and points like that, because you can't just obviously eat whatever you want and train for like fucking 2 minutes. But like in terms of that part of the building blocks, like you don't have to, and I've got clients that have done, you know, like they're it's more so the ones that like online clients, and you sort of like they just didn't train for like a week or two, and I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, it's just like can't fit it in, blah blah blah. I was like, okay, cool, but like tell me that. Like, tell me as your coach that like it's not fitting in, or like if there's a workout that's too long. I was like, Matt, we just reduce it. Like it's not, it's all like, you'd be the same. Like with my online guys, it's like it's personal. It's a personal program. So if you message me and something's not working, time wise, anything wise, tell me. Because like I'll just reduce the time. And then if that's like I've had a few that have done that, they've had to reduce from like say an hour session to 40 minutes or whatever, half an hour. Still getting the same benefits, but they've been able to fit that in. And I'm like, sweet. So we've found a loophole in and roundabout sort of a way. So
and that's like on that note, it's not exclusive to just being coached. Like you don't have to hire one of us to instead like replace tell me as your coach with tell me as me that I can't train that amount of time. Like I've just got to adjust the plan. That's it.
Man, 100%.
Like that's what I mean is like being really honest with your self, like taking stock, like taking inventory of your life. Like
or like you've got the other side of the spectrum too, where it's like I don't have time to fit that in, but then you scroll on reels for like 2 hours on TikTok. And I'm like, I can't get up that early. I was like, you literally just sat on your phone for 40 minutes. Like you could have been at the gym at that group session before getting out of bed. And you haven't wasted or changed any other time frame in your daily schedule. So
so that's a good little piece on the time thing. I think like just taking stock of your day, doing it that way, being honest with yourself about that. The next part, so that's more so with the training thing. The nutrition thing is a little bit different because obviously it takes time to prep the food. A lot of people would opt for meal prep. Those who are in a financial position, the easiest thing I can tell you to do is just stop trying to meal prep and fucking hire a company to do it for you. Like if you have the financial freedom to be able to pay whatever it is, it'd be like if you're eating 5 meals a day. Not that everyone's eating 5 meals a day. It's like $50 or $55, depending on who you order directly from per day. So if you're somebody who earns more than $55 for however long it takes you to prep the food, then could be worth your time. But then the thing with that is if you're not in the financial position to be able to do that, that's where you kind of do just have to suck it up and make it fit. I don't know if you have anything. You've got a really good point that you're going to touch on about Plan Bs, which I'm keen to hear that probably in this part. But yet, making a plan, preparing ahead of time, especially if you're time poor and like a lot of us are, we struggle with time and just being able to prep ahead. And then that makes it so much easier to make any kind of decision around nutrition through the day. If you can offload that decision and offload that sort of chance of you being like, fuck, I forgot my lunch, then you're in the win.
This is a good or this is like a reason why the knowledge side of things is so like such a big area, because I think knowledge comes into that too. So like for example, learning what are the options for Plan Bs or if you don't have the time management, it's one of those things where, you're like you said, like we know what to do, That's our job. That's our, our bread and butter, I guess, to a point where, I guess we're also lucky to, in some way as well, is during the day we can just come home and make food. So, but again, like I still prepare stuff. I still pre-prepare, pre-cook or portion, cooked or uncooked, and it's like frozen in the freezer. So like, okay, it's not like I don't go and buy a brand new steak, fresh every day, from Woolies or wherever or the butcher. And that's where I think people tend to fall apart. Is it doesn't. Some part of it is like you have to suck it up because like I'm okay with eating quite bland. Well, not bland, but just like the same shit. And it's like simple as like I'll come home like late, and I'll just go like from frozen steak air fryer. Steam veggies in a like microwave steamer, like frozen veggies, and it's like boom boom, meal's done. Like a lot of people would just like it sounds boring as sometimes that needs to just be a thing. And again, like you said, there's part of that is a suck it up and do it type thing. In terms of like the having a second or having a few plans in place is, I think we've spoken about this before, where if you do forget your meal prep or lunch that you had prepared, and you need to buy something, it doesn't have to be just because you get to work and you're like, oh fuck, I forgot my lunch. I might as well blow it all and have takeaway of whatever you choose. It's more like, okay, cool. Like I need to get something else. So pick. I think that's where the knowledge thing comes in again. Pick better options rather than just going, all right, I'm going to blow it and get 4 burgers. Sweet. Like now you've just ruined the whole week, right? Rather than just going, okay, cool. Like I need to get something. What's the healthiest option? And then going from there. And when you've got the understanding of kind of what is a healthy option, then you have that ability to have, and I think that comes down to like people, or that saying of failure to plan, or plan is planning to fail, failing to prepare, preparing to fail. And I'm like, to a degree, yes, but you're also putting that in people's heads that like forgetting their lunch is the failure. So that they go, oh, I was prepared, but then I still failed. And then they get down in the dumps and then they buy shit food. So I like to look at it slightly different. And it's just like, even if you're not prepared, you can make a last minute decision to get as close to that as possible. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think that's good.
Let me just have a quick look at because I had good.
I think like that point about the lunch, forgetting the lunch being the point of failure. That's absolutely right, but it doesn't have to be the point of failure on your diet. That's what we're kind of getting at, right? It can be a point of failure for the plan, like that you've set in place, but it doesn't have to be a point of failure in the overall sort of aspiration towards a goal. So I think of that kind of thing, like you still do have to kind of sit and be like, okay, I fucked that up. I've got to not do that next week or not do that tomorrow. I don't think it's worth getting down in the dumps over, but it's kind of, you have to accept that and move on. So you accept like, fuck, okay, I fucked that up. I'm not going to do that again. And then fail forward. So fail that, no worries. Next thing.
I always like to look at it from like we always put, I mean, fitness in terms of training, food, like all of it gets put into this little category that for some reason is so difficult for people to understand. And I always try and put it into like analogies of like life situations or whatever, like, and you think of from like a sporting point of view, like let's just talk like rugby league for 5 seconds. Like if you're playing on a footy team and you get thrown the ball and you knock it on, right? Failure, mistake, whatever you want to call it. That doesn't mean you just leave the game. Like you set back up, you go again, and you make the right decisions the next time, blah, blah, blah. But then for some reason, when it comes to food or training,
Yeah.
when it's like from a fitness point of view.
Yeah.
Same thing with learning, like when we've spoken about before as well. It sort of will come under knowledge stuff as well, but you know, like when we talk about someone who has never done a certain exercise and expects to be great at it straight away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, mate, you're a lawyer, you're an accountant, you're a whatever job you want.
Yeah.
Like tradie, right? You have to not only do you have to do your trade for 4 years, do uni for 4 years, like you also like went from kindergarten through to year 12 before you did your HSC, before you did the next, right?
Yeah.
And I think if I look at it or explain that to someone from that point of view, it's like, yeah, well, you're gonna suck. Like in kindergarten, you were painting pictures. You you didn't go to kindergarten for a week and then have to do your HSC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or you didn't sit that exam, or you didn't, you know, you didn't have to do that. You didn't apply for that job at 6 years old.
Yeah.
Like a week after painting a picture in fucking primary school.
Yeah.
And it's like people don't think about that. Yeah. And it's also like, I guess with sort of comes under the same sort of like topic is the, you know, learning to not give up straight away. How I said like, oh, I forgot my food, sweet, I'm just going to order food or whatever. That it's because of food like that's so readily, easily like available too. So it's like, oh, quick fix, just click on the app, the Uber Eats or whatever. So I guess that'll come in. We'll talk about that more later with like knowledge of tips and tricks anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people just need to like take a step back and not think, oh sweet, I've joined a challenge, I've got to go 110% for the first 2 weeks and then just lose my shit.
Yeah.
Like you've just got to find a happy place that like works for you as well, right? And what fits in with your schedule so that long term it becomes what you want it to be.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that point about like there's levels to this shit. Like it's not, you didn't write your fucking weekend recount in year 2 or whatever. You remember doing those?
What's that?
Like, did you ever have to go into school and then like on Monday there was always like a 2-hour block where you'd write how your weekend went and then you present it to the class? Did you ever do that?
Yeah.
That
bits and pieces.
You didn't.
I'm a little bit older than you, but
yeah.
When you did that, 4 years ago? No.
Yeah, pretty much. No, but it's not like you did that, like told everyone how your weekend was, and then like 2 weeks later you're expecting to be a journalist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
It's like
exactly.
It's very easy to walk in and be like, sweet, I squatted 40 on my first session, 40 kilos on my first session. It's pretty good fucking squatting first session.
Yeah.
That one more session that's double the length of time, I should be able to squat 80. I feel like that's some people's immediate thought process is like, if I got 40 on my first session in like 4 sessions, I should be up there, dude. Yeah. You might be on 40 for the first 4 weeks.
Yeah. You might add a little bit of depth.
Yeah.
To that. Well, we always talk about fucking squats because it's so like easy to talk about.
Yeah, it's just a universal thing.
Yeah, 100%. You might add, you might improve a technique on that. You might sit at the same weight but move it faster. There's so many different aspects that like they're the more metric than just trying to add weight.
Yeah.
And again, like I think people just for some reason, like the fitness industry just seems to be this whole different like alien world that just doesn't correlate to like life situations. And I'm like, again, like touch on that subject, like someone will look at someone that has been training for years and they're like, fuck, that guy's like can squat heaps or is really strong or whatever they say. And I was like, yeah, man, like he's about to sit his HSE.
Yeah.
You just started kindy.
Yeah.
Like there's gonna be that difference, that maturity, that growth, that training.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to say. Like it's just sometimes you sort of just have to drop that and people go, fuck, you're right.
Yeah.
Like,
and the same is said about nutrition too. Like,
yeah,
the person who sticks exactly to their diet probably didn't stick exactly to their diet the first time they did a diet.
Yeah.
I don't know how involved you are in like Chris Bumstead and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's done interviews where it's like his first prep, it was his first prep. Like he fucking blew out 8 cookies all like 9 yards.
Yeah.
His last prep, he fucking replaced rice with cookies.
Yeah.
It was carbs. He was like, it's carbs, it fits. Am I off plan? Yes. Am I going to tell my coach? No, but
Yeah.
it fits.
And
He's
again,
done it enough times to know that
yes,
it's going to work.
It's going to work. But I guess like he's again at another level where, which we've spoken about before, is he's at that top 1%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like talking to people, obviously you want people to be the best they can be, but trying to, I guess at the moment in terms of people getting started, we're talking about that general middle ground of people, and it's like, I'm not telling you not to eat the cookie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just telling you not to have 10.
Yeah.
or and I guess again comes back to knowledge. That's going to be a big topic, but like if I told you what I ate every day, yeah, okay, most of it's clean and chill, whatever, but like I have things in my diet daily or regularly that is not, you wouldn't consider healthy, but it helps me stick to it, right? So like it might not be the best option, but I'm more satisfied when I eat bread compared to rice, right? So I'm like, I'd rather eat, even though the like nutrition wise, energy wise, whatever you want to say, like it's probably better to have the rice. Maybe. Yeah. Depends what it is.
Maybe. Depends on the
but
what
it's
the
also,
bread is.
and I guess it depends on a few things, but I'm like, I'd rather that person stick to or have a consistent cheat food, if you want to call it that, in their diet that's going to help them stick to it.
Yeah.
Like if I get better results from myself and from members, clients, like if you give them that little bit of leeway, they're more likely to stick to this.
Yeah.
Whereas if you give them nothing, it's the same with anything.
Yeah.
To the kid, like don't touch that toy.
Yeah.
Like they just want to touch all the toys.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this has become a bit of a tangent, but I've got one more thing I want to touch on with that.
Go.
You've heard about that experiment with the kids and the marshmallow? I think it was a Stanford experiment. They put kids down and they were like, there's a marshmallow on the table, I'm going to leave. If the marshmallow's still there when I get back, you can have 2.
Yeah.
People forget that the outliers in that experiment were the kids who waited. Less kids waited for the 2 marshmallows than ate the marshmallow.
Yeah.
So that with that, giving them the leeway, I see that as like, okay, you can have that marshmallow, that's fine. But then there's certain people who they don't want the marshmallow. They'd rather have 2 later, or 3 later, or 4 later. So some people they'll do a hard 16-week diet, and then they're like, cool, I'm in my off season now, I'm going to be a bit more flexible. Or like off season, like I'm in my build or whatever.
To be fair, man, I'm probably more like that.
Yeah.
Because you've seen me go in like super strict modes where I'm just like, I'm not touching shit.
Yeah.
And then like I'll have a blowout day and I'll have a fucking whole family meal of burgers to myself. So I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But again, that's all individual. Like that's how I would program that client.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's like when I do nutrition stuff with people, I'm just like, which way would you rather?
Yeah.
Because it's at the end of the day, it's what works for you.
Yeah.
It's what's you're gonna stick to.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Sweet. All right.
You're right though. I fucking like that.
So yeah, that point with time, either like make the time or just keep making excuses. That's pretty much it. It's as simple as it gets. Make the time, keep making excuses, or find ways around it that fit your time, and take inventory of your time. That should be like the first thing anyone does when they set a goal. Like, can I actually realistically achieve this in the time that I want to achieve it in?
Well, that's a good point. Like quickly touching on that is someone comes up to you and they're like, I want to lose 20 kilos. I'm like, cool, man. How about we lose a couple kilos first? Then we lose a couple more. Like, and you're not going to lose 20 kilos in like 3 weeks. Some might, but not healthily.
I don't know if you do the same lens with your clients, but I go through the lens of percentage body weight when I program for like fat loss. Yeah. Any fat loss phase, and this was something that was just sort of given to me as a guide from Eugene Teo. Yeah. When I was doing his mentorship program, it was like fat loss phase or prep phase or whatever. You don't really want to lose more than 10% of your body fat. 10% of your body weight. So somebody who's 80 kilos wants to lose 20 kilos. That's 25% of the body weight.
That's insane.
That's ridiculous. You're losing a quarter of a human.
Yeah. And like 90% of people, like depending on your height and structure, you're not gonna lose that weight. No. And it's gonna become a lot harder as you get closer to that goal.
Yeah, it's that exponential graph of like you lose a lot, it's like sweet, and then evens out, and then it's like, well, we can't really pull calories below this because it's not good.
And I guess you have to like also be realistic with your goals.
Yeah.
Like speaking to certain clients, it's like, what do you want out of this?
Yeah, yeah.
Because you got someone there like, I want to be like 10% body fat, but I also want to be heap strong and be able to like run a marathon. And I'm like, cool.
Steroids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, okay, so like, when are we eating to fuel for this marathon if you want to be 10%
Yeah.
body fat and also strong?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it becomes one of those realistic things where it's like you need to have a different goal for each sort of
Season.
like, similar to my year, I guess, schedule is, I like to just try and pretend not to be an athlete for 5 minutes during off season and just like fuck around with some heavy weights and enjoy training, eat a bit more. And like off season for me is like building muscle or building, not even necessarily size, just like building strength.
Yeah.
So like power output and stuff. And then in season comes in, it's like, cool, now let's dial that in. Let's try and keep that strength, but I need to dial in and be lighter to be able to run.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So it's like, but I don't try and stay at that like sprint weight all year round.
Yeah.
One, because I'm not at an Olympic level and I don't plan to be.
Yeah.
But also like I want to enjoy my lifestyle and be able to sticking to that, like you said before, like I'd rather have an off season where I can just sort of like let go a little bit.
Yeah.
And I still train, like don't get me wrong, I still train hard. If not, I probably train a little bit harder because I've got the energy to or the fuel. But it's like my goal's different too in that time frame. Like I'm not trying to be super, super lean.
Yeah, yeah.
Like anyway.
Yeah. Cool. That's like time plus fucking
Tangents.
every other tangent.
We love a tangent.
So this one should be pretty quick. Energy. So many people are like, oh, fucking, I want to stick to the plan, but I just don't have energy.
Yeah.
I just don't have the energy I don't have the energy to go to the gym is a fucking big one.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing I've got written down here is like starting out's never going to feel good if you're already low energy thinking about starting. But momentum is real, and the more momentum you build, literally it is a case of the more momentum you build, the fitter you'll get, the better you'll feel.
100%.
I think people drastically underestimate how much their current lifestyle habits of like poor eating, not exercising, scrolling their phone instead of going to bed on time.
Lifestyle, I was gonna say sleep, big one.
Yeah. So like not sleeping well. They're solved by the energy regulation that is good food and good training.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my opinion on energy. Is like, sure you don't have the energy now, but start first, then worry about what your energy levels are.
Yeah.
As long as you can maintain like the base components of like your responsibilities as a functional adult, then you're fine. Like you'll be okay. You're not gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think again, this is like some things are hard to talk about because everyone's individual. Everyone's got different lives and different sort of things going on. But like, I'm like if there's a week where I need to like dial in, like my washing's not getting done till the end of the week.
Yeah.
Like things like that, right? If I'm like I need to go to sleep because I need to be able to train well the next morning, those dishes are probably gonna have to wait till the next day.
Yeah.
But like, that's just those little things that, or like that's I sacrifice.
Yeah,
but like things like that where people, I'm so tired, or I guess energy wise stuff, like that's when you need to just like just like get it done
Yeah.
point of view. And it's also that like that I guess tough middle ground where you want someone to like just turn up.
Yeah.
Like and like we've spoken about that before in last time we spoke. He's like the turn up, show up
Yeah.
thing, right?
Differences in
It's
mentality.
like if your energy levels are low, still turn up.
Yeah.
You might only turn up at 50%.
Yeah.
But then showing up is working at that 50%,
Yeah.
which is 100% of what you can give on that day.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important, like, because no one, like, how many times have you woken up being like, woo, I'm fucking fresh as? Quite rare.
Yeah.
Right?
3:30 this morning was fucking not one of those days.
And that's it. Like, 90% of people don't have that.
Yeah.
So everyone's fucking tired to a certain
100%.
degree. But yeah, that's part of that. I guess the energy level thing is it just comes down to like if you want it or not.
Yep. I liked what you said about
I'm a
like,
fucking monster.
yeah, I liked what you said about um like sacrificing those things to like make it fit. So in periods of particular focus, things are going to have to make way for the energy. It's the law of thermodynamics, right? Energy is not created; it is transferred.
Yeah.
So you can't go from being low energy to just creating energy. Although you can, I think, indirectly through training and nutrition, and good sleep. But I think a massive impact is just going, okay, spending fucking hour and a half scrolling Instagram reels is like not, it's actually draining me. Like it's like leaving me physically drained. So I'm just gonna not do that anymore, and I'm gonna take that mental effort and put it towards something else. Like I do this all the time. Like I get sucked into fucking reel holes all the time. I told you about this. My algorithm's fucked. Like, but there's sort of these moments of like mental clarity with myself where I'll wake up to like, oh fuck, this is not in any way related to where I'm trying to go or what I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
In regards to like even just coaching, like, and so then it's like, okay, cool, I can turn this off now, knowing that this is the sacrifice that I need to make for the next thing.
Yeah.
Which for me is like, obviously fitness is a thing in my life. It's fucking pretty much centered around it.
Yeah.
But business wise, that's what my focus is drawn from to. So my business grows when I focus less on that shit.
Yeah.
And more on creating.
Dude,
or
honestly, I'm
that
like,
kind of stuff.
part of me, because I like obviously I still need to rest and relax and
Yeah.
and do that in between.
Yeah.
Whereas like like reels, for example, for some people scrolling on reels is that like that rest time, that therapeutic rest time, whatever you want to call it.
There's a difference.
There's a difference.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
In the car before you walk inside versus an hour and a half on the
Laying in
couch
bed.
after work.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess that's where like I was gonna go with like, I'm like, oh fuck, I want a PS5 for my birthday. I'm like, treat myself, get a PS5 potentially, and then I'm like, nah, man, I'm gonna be stuck on that like the hours on end, and it's like, yeah, okay, it could be good for me to, because sometimes I do need to pull back a bit, and it's like that could be good for me to just sort of relax and be like, okay, no, today's rest day, go and do that.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I could very easily spiral into too much time on that.
Yeah.
And that's where I guess everyone's gonna have that balance. But I was just back on the energy thing, I guess, as well. One thing I did want to add is if you're low on energy, turning up to the gym, and just trying to do a set of something, a warm up, whatever it is, 9 times out of 10, that's enough to get you keen to train.
Yeah.
Like the amount of times where I'm like, fuck, I can't, like, rough today, feeling tired, whatever, but I know I need to get a training session done. Yeah. And I literally just go do a warm up set. Maybe the first set's shit, second one's probably shit too. But then I'm like, you know what? Like I'm starting to get into a bit of a rhythm. And then like the amount of times I've done that and gone like close to a fucking PR or like lifting what I was supposed to actually feeling okay.
Yeah.
So I guess like that's one of the things. It's like get there, try it. If you're not feeling it, then go home. Today wasn't your day. Try again tomorrow, type thing.
Yeah.
But for 90% of people, it's like turning up and just getting something done is good for that day. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. Energy is transferred, not created. That's the biggest thing. I think even in that context of like showing up, doing the set, chances are you didn't show up to the session not keen for the session just because the session's shit. Like,
Yeah.
you probably rocked up to that session feeling like shit because like you've just worked 6 hours in the morning, and you got sprint coaching that afternoon, and you got to squeeze the session in for an hour, and it's like all these other external factors draining you.
Yeah.
And that first 2 sets is almost like drop all of that baggage, and now, oh fuck, like okay, I'm focused now on the squats. I'm focused now on the whatever, the training session at large. Then you're like, you've just sacrificed all of those negative mental aspects of like the day draining you.
Yeah.
And now you've just got this thing in front of you that you can focus the entirety of that energy towards.
Yeah.
And I find the same, like in my head, I have sessions where I rock up and I'm like, fuck, man. Like I try not to be. I obviously like try and put it out of my head, but again, first few sets we're in, nothing else matters anymore except not dying on the leg press. Like, so cool.
I just want to touch on one more thing, energy wise.
Yeah.
Is um, if you are a couple, you have a partner, family, kids type situation, um, work with your partner around the energy stuff.
Yes.
Having the ability to adjust or help when the other person is low on energy, and knowing that those little things like the washing the dishes, the cooking dinner, the watching the kids for an hour thing will take stress off them, whether or not it's them to just have a rest or go to the gym, or the walk or whatever they're going to do, just a bit of them time. I think is very important. So if you're, if you can see the energy, or like if you're that one partner that does a lot of the heavy lifting on that day, and you can see the other one, like if you're the one that's not doing as much heavy lifting, you can see the struggle. Like, hey, I'll take the kids for an hour, or hey, I'll cook dinner tonight. You go off and get your gym session in, or whatever you need to do. I think it's very important. Because I feel like sometimes there's not a lot of give and take there. It's just like, no, like the schedule's set, and it's like, oh, I can't go because I'm looking after the kids, but like hubby's in bed. And I'm like that's especially when it comes to like someone who is overweight and needs to lose weight, and health needs to be a priority. It's like, cool, you need to have that chat with them. And it works both ways. I'm not saying the husband's the one that always asleep, but I'm like, you need to have that chat where, hey, can you watch the kids this morning? Can you get up when the kids get up for that hour? Because I need to go to the gym and build that routine. And it's working together to find that routine. Like, we've got plenty of members that we know that like, either one of the couple will come to like the 6 o'clock class, quickly duck home, then the other one comes at 7, and they just swap over. And it's like that type of understanding around each other's schedules and like trying to build each other's energy up is really important.
Yeah, I love that. Sweet. Yeah, that's energy. I've got a bit more of like a philosophical point there, but I'm 21, so
Life coach me.
all right, not a life coach, not life advice. I'm 21. I could basically shoot a unicorn out and be fine. But so that whole point about making space, the point that I had down here was the old habits and rituals you have currently will have to die for you to become the person you want to become. Think of it that way, and if you are somebody who is in that like critical sort of position where it's like, okay, you are now obese and like health markers are really poor, those old habits are not just the thing that need to die. Like, if they don't die, they will kill you.
And that's where I talk about, like, it's sometimes hard to, you sort of giving someone an example like, oh, you need to tell your partner that they need to pull their weight to help you do blah blah blah. But like, that's not someone who is just like wanting to do their third training session for the day. Like, that's extreme. But it's like, okay, well, it's not just like, oh, I'm training for this fucking event. It's like, no, the event is life. The event is now life or death. And you need to make the health change.
So that was it. And then the second point on that was, therefore, like, if you consider all that, anything worth pursuing. So health, self-agency is a big one. So like your ability to back yourself, and be like, okay, cool, I said I was going to do this thing and I've done it. That's awesome. Now I have more confidence to go and do the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. I think that's how a lot of people get into sport and competing at high levels anyways, is they build this self-agency of like, cool, I did that thing. I can now look at this next thing. It might scare me a bit, but I can go and do it. So anything worth pursuing, health, self-agency, is worth killing your old self for. So that's just life coach Josh will now exit, and idiot 21-year-old Josh, who does stupid shit all the time, is back. Intensity. Let's move to intensity. We've kind of covered it, but a lot of people overestimate what they're capable of in the beginning, and they misjudge their ability to stick to the plan. We won't even cover off on that.
Explain more. Overestimate or underestimate?
They okay, they overestimate what they're able to commit in the beginning.
Yeah.
They underestimate what they're able to commit in the long term.
Yeah.
So a good thing that I've sort of heard and come across recently was there was a coach discussing how he discusses pricing with his clients. And he was talking about a lot of trainers, and like this will apply to both of us. You get asked what your prices are, and you're like, "Oh, these my hourly rate, and then weekly whatever rate."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Okay, slow down. What is the goal?" And he was working with athletes that want to squat fucking 500 pounds.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Cool. That goal will cost you $10,000. It'll take you 2 years."
Yeah.
And it's like, somebody hearing that goes, "Oh fuck!" Like, I thought this was going to be just next week, this week, next week. Yeah. And 100%, you need to break it down, especially for Gen Pop who aren't athletes looking to do that next thing. You need to break it down into like the weekly steps. But I think people overestimate what they're capable of doing in a week, like just in their schedule, and they severely underestimate what that week can return them, multiplied by 52 other weeks. I think that covers it pretty nicely.
I agree.
It's a nice little bow. The next point I had on intensity, and I think you'll disagree with this one. Balance as a concept is flawed. You're being pulled in two directions, therefore perfect balance results in no motion.
No, I don't disagree.
Okay.
I just didn't get that for a second.
All right. I was looking at you like I'm waiting.
Say it again.
Balance itself is a flawed concept.
No, I agree with that. Yeah.
Perfect balance.
No such thing.
Perfect balance results in no motion because you're being pulled in two different directions.
Yeah, no, I agree. 100% agree. I've always had that. Like, I have spoken about this type of stuff before in terms of balance, and I'm like, I always, and it sort of just gets thrown around. I've used it heaps, so but like, find that happy medium, find that balance, blah blah blah. But like, different stages different stages have a different level of that balance. Yeah. So like, how do I explain this? Easiest way for people to understand. Like what I was saying before about my off season and my on season. Yeah. Right. Like my training is probably slightly affected. Maybe not training. Training's still solid, but like top percentage of training and my body weight is not where it wants to be. Yeah. But I'm socializing more. Yeah. So I'm balancing back. I'm giving back to my social life.
The pendulum. Yeah. That
pendulum. So like finding that balance, I guess, it is important, but I 100% agree with what you're saying. Yeah. I guess that sort of comes into what I was saying about energy before, where like if it's more important for that person as the couple, if it's a couple situation, for example, the importance for that person to improve means that they skew the balance. Yeah. Right. And then that person has to be willing to let them. Yeah. And that could mean that they're, unless they're both super needing of it. Yeah. If one person's more needing the other one needs to understand that and maybe give a little bit so that person can get that shit done. Yeah. But yeah, like there's always, and I've covered it like a few times. Like years ago, I remember I made a similar video about balance, and I'm like, it's not balance because I didn't let myself have alcohol for 3 months. Yeah. Like that's not balance. Yeah. But like that's depending on what your goal is at the time. Mm-hmm. And I guess it depends what you consider balance. Yeah. And if you're happy just being mid-ground, cool, have the balance. But like you said, you're never going to improve that way or that way. Yeah. If you're constantly there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
Why did you think I would disagree? That's what I want to ask.
Because I know you have a much more like balanced approach to coaching with like not being like I feel like I can be a big fucking hard ass when it comes to like balance. Like I feel like I skew more in that I want clients to be athletes kind of thing. Yeah. And you're a little bit the other way, but we definitely do agree.
I think it's just come with again, it depends what the client wants, and
Yeah.
I'm quite happy to push that client to be an athlete.
Yeah.
And I do have that side of my business, I guess, with
Yeah,
my
with
sprints
sprint.
guys and stuff, right? So I do train quite a few athletes, and I'm like, but even with them, like, they're like, oh, I had a big weekend. I'm like, cool. Well, like, do you expect to get the results that we want next week?
Yeah.
Because you're probably not.
Yeah.
And like, it's them understanding that. But again, like, when someone wants to be an athlete, they need to take onus on that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I guess I do consider myself a Gen Pop coach.
Yeah.
And I think people, some people need to kick up the ass, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but some need that supportive hand that's like, no, no, like, you're still doing good,
Yeah. Yeah.
keep the ball going.
Yeah.
And for some people, it's like, if I can stop you from getting worse,
Yeah.
then this is working
Yeah. Yeah.
in a roundabout sort of a way. It
Yeah.
sounds like I'm being too easy on people, but
No,
sometimes, especially in different stages, like there might be a time frame where it's like, no, okay, like we just need to keep you here
Yeah.
without you getting worse.
Yeah.
So it's fine line, and I guess it's very individual, and it's learning how people react.
Yeah.
So like some people being a hard ass to them too much, you might lose them.
Yeah.
Not only yourself, you'd lose them as a client, but you might lose them to wanting to go to any other PT,
Yeah. Yeah.
which could throw them off even more.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah. It's weird because, like, in my head, there's two types of people who seek coaches out, seek PTs out. And it's like the people who cannot self start.
Yeah.
So the people who need that kick up the ass. And then the people who are extremely driven and think that they need to kick up the ass when they need somebody to pull on their rein.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think that those are the two types of people. Very rarely do you get a client who is like balanced in like I'm pushing towards my goal, but I'm also drinking piss up every weekend.
Yeah. Unless you're not you and you're like in your early 20s and you can do that and probably still make gains.
Yeah, yeah. I could probably do it, but
Yeah, but
I just
like
can't.
you're also more driven in that athlete
yeah.
area. So
So balance as a concept being flawed is something that but like, dude, without getting fucking ranty, how many times do you see like especially around public holidays like Easter and Christmas makes more sense, but I mean like Australia
I know,
Days,
yeah, go.
Labor Days, like
Yeah.
shit that's unimportant, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, went out and fucking railed 3 lines and drank 12 beers.
Yeah.
Balance. And it's like you just destroyed the first 3 days of training of your week.
Yeah.
For like a meaningless public holiday.
Yeah.
It's like I understand from a social perspective, like cool, you get a Monday off, you can be hungover, it's all right. But if you're training and your training week fits the normal work week, you've just thrown your work week and your training week down the window. What the fuck, dude? Like it's almost used by an excuse as coaches to like preach this healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it's like you're preaching a healthy lifestyle by doing things that are not healthy.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like steroid abuse in the industry, like Liver Kings and shit. They're preaching like this healthy fucking natural lifestyle, and the meantime, like they're pinning fucking gear.
Yeah.
The whole time, and it's like, I understand it from like a marketing perspective of like, cool, you inspire your clients to have that balance and take that step back, but don't just use it as an excuse. It's almost like they're coping. Like it feels like cope, where they're like, nah, this is balance.
Well, I think
off the fucking.
Yeah. I think my angle of balance is I sort of only talk about it when I want someone to pull back.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like someone who trains too much and needs to rest, like that's when I'll be like, find a better balance.
Yeah.
And like the balance is, as you said, it's always going to be skewed, but it's like you need to bring that a little bit back.
Yeah.
And that's probably when I use it the most.
Yeah. But yeah, in saying that, like, and I agree with you, but I'm like bringing another thing to light. It's like there's a difference between being unbalanced towards the goal and then having a coach remind you, hey, like, don't go too far that way, like, pulling the rein a bit, versus like fucking hanging out the window of a car and grabbing a pole because you wanted to have fucking get on the bags on the weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Like, there's a difference between like heading down that super unbalanced route and then like, oh, public holiday, fucking wrap your head around a pole while you're driving 100 k's an hour. Like, you know what I mean? It's like being pulled so fiercely in the other direction
Yeah.
for like almost no reason.
Yeah. And I guess like that term balance is just thrown up there just to try and make it sound better.
Yeah.
It's like they know they went too far the other way, but they're calling it balance so it doesn't sound as bad.
Yeah,
That's what you mean, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
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 Yeah, cool. I think that covers it. That covers intensity and balance.
Yeah.
Again, not a life coach, but
No.
maybe don't do fucking cocaine every weekend.
Yeah.
Or every chance that somebody says, "Oh, you got a bag?"
Yeah.
Cool. Knowledge. Right, here we go. Knowledge. What's your notes on knowledge? Because you probably got a bit more than I do. You can lead.
So for me, knowledge is quite a broad area because it sort of ties everything back in. The more knowledge you have on certain things, the easier it is to adjust and make those commitments or I guess change angles in situations, change direction, sorry. So like we were talking about before with having a second option for like food or whatever.
Yeah.
Like if you've got the knowledge of knowing what a good second option is, you're probably going to make it.
Yeah.
Well, you got more of a chance to make it than you are to just throw the diet out the window completely.
Yeah.
And I think there's a few different angles. Like knowledge is not only for me. It's like just ask fucking questions, bro.
Yeah.
Like learning is so important to like it, even if I'm not tracking calories, I'm still tracking calories.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Like mentally,
Yeah. Like my fitness pal is in my fucking brain.
Yeah.
Like because I learnt it, you know, you spend enough time doing it, that becomes second nature. So I can sort of like look at a meal and like, yeah, okay, I'm not going to get it spot on calories or macros, but like if you stick to the procedure of tracking, logging, like actually reading fucking labels on food, if you can do that for a couple of months, even a couple of weeks, you're gonna understand what's in what, if you're overdoing it, if you're underdoing it, so that when you then like you kind of have to be strict to a degree.
Yeah.
You know, so many people are like, oh, I don't want to use my fitness pal. It's like so hard to track, blah 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 blah. Like takes time and this and that. And I was like, yeah, cool, but like if you do it for a short period of time, you'll have enough knowledge and understanding to be able to use it mentally without actually physically using the app or whatever later on. If you want to take that like generalized approach. Obviously it's good to use if you need to be like super strict like yourself would use it quite often, right?
I've got a meal plan, so I don't
use it
at all.
But I know, but you know what, but those meal plans are obviously to the T.
Yeah, to the T.
In terms of like weighing, and like people are like, oh, I don't want to weigh any food. And I was like, but weighing the food is you're learning. You're actually teaching yourself. You're not. You sometimes you can't look at it as like a chore. You need to look at it as like a chance to learn.
100%. Yeah.
And I can now like not me, like not just me. A lot of people still do this. Is like once you sort of know, it's like I can just be like, yeah, cool. That's about blah 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 blah, and like that's my calories for the day. So I now don't even have to use my fitness pal.
Yeah.
I know within a gauge, and even if I'm slightly off, it's a constant variable, and my results or weight on the scale reflect that.
Yeah.
So then I can just adjust from that.
Yeah.
And it's just, I guess, even when it comes to like exercises in the gym.
Yeah.
Or how do I word this better? Like it's not just nutrition.
Yeah.
It's understanding why you're doing it.
Yep.
Like how to do it properly.
Yep.
And I guess asking your coach, or not even your coach, just like trying to figure that out, like asking questions yourself of like why you're doing different things.
Yep.
Because like you talk to people who are like, oh, this is in my program from like whoever their coach is, whatever. Yeah. And you're like, cool. Like, have you asked them why?
Yeah.
And it's like, I want people to ask me why.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy to give you that information because I'm teaching you what's important. And they're like, oh, I don't want to ask or feel bad for asking and I'm like, that's if your coach has an issue with that, they're not a good coach. Yeah. No. Because you want to be able to be transparent with your coach and build that sort of relationship. And you want to be able to, like, my main goal, man, is to teach people. Yeah. Like, if someone's asked me questions, they're learning how to fucking do shit. Yeah. Basically. Yeah. Without continuously just using those words over and over and blabbing on. Yeah. That's basically my point. Yeah. Is fucking ask more questions. If you're unsure, ask, learn. Yep. And because that's just like, that's going to make it easier in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. I think something that you didn't really touch on that I think is important. There's tracking's one thing, but for people who have never tracked before and whatever else, like, there's so many other changes you can make almost immediately that don't involve weighing food, tracking food, all that stuff, that will result in some change. So this is more so for the guys and girls who need to drop the weight, like, fairly quickly. Like, yeah, ASAP Rocky. So, for those kind of people, there's bound to be some kind of lifestyle habit that is keeping them that way. So whether it's I use an example of McDonald's, like eating McDonald's 4 times a week. So instead of tracking calories, track how many times you're eating McDonald's every week. If you can cut it from 4 to 2, you probably make good progress. If you can cut it from 2 to 1, you probably make good progress. Yeah. Keep the 1, I don't give a fuck. Figure out the next thing. So it's like, the level of knowledge doesn't have to be numbers and metrics. It can be just eyeballing stuff and being like, this is clearly not good for me. Yeah. So I'm not gonna eat it, or I'm gonna pick a better option. So, that's one thing.
I would look at that I agree 100%, and I look at it from a point of view as like people sort of ask me similar questions, like how I would do it. Yeah. And I'm like, my food doesn't change. I just change the volume. Yeah. So it's like what you're saying, you're cutting macas out from 5 times a week to 2 times a week, for example. Like someone says, like, for breakfast, I have 4 eggs and 3 pieces of toast. Yeah. And I'm like, cool, let's have 3 eggs and 1 bit of toast, or 2 and 2, or like whatever that metric is you want to use to bring back down without even counting the calories. Yeah. You're already adjusting. Yeah. And you've had a whole avocado on that, sweet, let's have half an avocado. Yeah. Like, learning those type of skills, and even like that, a skill within itself on that is like, put stuff on a smaller plate so it looks like a bigger meal. I guess that comes under the same thing you're saying, right? Without even having to weigh food. Yeah. You've literally just cut down from 3 pieces of toast to 1 bit of toast, and like half the amount of avocado. That's like, what, 1, 2, 3, 3.5. Yeah. 350 calories. Yeah. Something like that. So like, you do that enough, that's going to make a difference. Yeah. And I think this actually does come under knowledge as well, but like people's, I guess, going from 0 to 100, that doesn't work. Yeah. Like, someone, again, like going back to your Macca's, Macca's, shout out, fast food in general, right? You can take out 5 days a week. You can drop that. If you can drop that to 2, you're saving yourself X amount of calories per week.
Even if you replace it.
Yeah, even if you replace it. But people, like, and you'll see it too, like, you give someone a base plan with like a calorie goal, and they're like, oh, like 2,000 calories, isn't that a bit high? And you're like, but before you were probably at like 3 or 4,000. So 2 is going to be, 2 is not 1. Yeah. But like, you don't want someone on 1,000 for starters. No. But like 2,000 is you're still eating more than 1,000, and that might upset you. Yeah. But you're going to make progress because you're not eating 4. Yeah. And I think people don't understand that. That comes down to like, what we were saying before as well with the whole, like, you didn't do your HSC a week after starting primary school.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just, you can, but you're not gonna have any energy, and you're less likely gonna be able to stick to it.
Yeah.
So, being able to cut out those smaller bits,
Yeah.
like you said, is gonna make a huge difference. And like, the other thing I would find slightly off topic, but still in the knowledge zone, is like someone's like, oh, like, what supplements should I take?
Yeah.
And I'm like, cut out the fast food.
Yeah.
Not fully, but like that little bit, right?
Yeah.
Or it's like, what fat burner should I have? And I'm like, swap the Coke to Coke no sugar, or diet Pepsi Max, whatever you want to call it, like calorie free. Yeah, thank you. So people see us drinking these on the regular, and these are sugar free.
Most
They are
effective fat burner.
100%, 14 calories per can.
Yep.
The sugar versions of these are about 250.
Yeah.
Right?
Pretty bang on.
So we
nearly,
have
nearly 60 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
That's a fucking meal, bro.
Carbs in these, for everyone asking, 7. Like, but even like, and again, this is where I find that people struggle. Like I said before, it's like a whole little alien world, because there's so many variables and people word things differently.
Yeah.
And they're like, you need to stick to this, and this. And then people go, fuck this, that's too hard.
Yeah.
And it's like, even like 100% like carbs, fats, proteins.
Yeah.
But I like, especially for people who need to lose weight specifically,
Yeah.
I don't care what your macros are.
Yeah.
Obviously your protein to a degree, but I don't actually care.
Yeah.
I just want you in a deficit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what your targets are.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to give you a target. Let's get that down pat first, then we move on.
Yeah.
And I even look at that from like you know, people that do or don't eat breakfast or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you'll probably disagree with me slightly, because I know you're pro breakfast, and I'm not anti breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I understand,
situational, but
and it's like from a performance base, right? Like, obviously you want to have that blah blah blah, have the breakfast to be able to perform in whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
But for someone who's like struggling to meet calories, I'm quite happy for them to like push that eating window back, because it's going to save, especially short term,
Yeah.
for them to try and stick to calorie goals. Anyway, back on that drink, for example, we have them every day.
Yeah.
Or even five times a week. 5. I'm going to say 5. That's probably what I have.
Probably 10.
Okay.
Probably 10 drinks a week.
Cool. Let's go with 5, just so that people don't think you're an absolute monster, pardon the pun.
Yeah.
But like 5 of those,
Yeah.
what's fucking like 50 cals, 60 cals, right? Less than 100 cals.
Yeah.
5 times full sugar.
Oh, bro.
You're at like, what's that?
12.
12. That's a whole, for most people, that's almost a whole daily intake again.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got someone on,
Yeah.
right? Or if they're having a 6th drink,
Yeah.
right? If you're having 6 of those a week,
Yeah.
you're pretty close, give or take, cals,
Yeah. Yeah.
to a whole extra day of food,
Yeah.
just on the amount of sugar or the amount of cals you put in on an energy drink.
I might have to swap them out, bro. Get on the monster bulk.
Yeah, the monster bulk. But like, again, it comes under knowledge, man. Like, those simple switches, and like, it's always brought up in, you see like docos or whatever done on like people losing weight and shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, we're talking about those little swaps you can do without changing everything just to water.
Yeah.
That means you might not stick to it fully.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like, if you can save, fucking wild thought, but like, if you can save 1,500 to 2,000 calories of your week by cutting to no sugar of whatever drink you have,
Yeah.
like, that's a fucking win.
Yeah, dude.
Like, and again, like, that is a whole extra day of food.
Yeah.
And over a period of a month, that's, 4 or 5, it's like a whole week
Yeah.
of, you're a week ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, again, over time, that's just going to add up.
Yeah.
Like, so over a year, like, quick maths from me. So like, every month you're a week ahead.
Yeah.
So for a full year, you're going to be
months, yeah.
3 months better off food wise.
Yeah.
That's a fucking wild stat.
Yeah. That's pretty bad. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And that's literally, I haven't even changed your food.
Yeah.
I have changed sugar to no sugar option.
Yeah.
And I haven't even made you drink water.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Clip that.
Clip that.
I want that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fucking sick.
That's gold. Yeah, cool. So this is like, I guess my like closing points.
Yeah.
When it comes to knowledge, simplest answer is not always the right one, but it's a pretty good fucking place to start. Start simple. If it makes a positive change, just keep doing that. If it doesn't make a positive change, then you need to upgrade your level of knowledge. Like, just get smarter, and figure it out. But I think most people who are like, fuck, I can't see any results, are probably just not actually applying the things they know they should do, or applying restriction on the things they know they shouldn't do. I think it's very, from a young age, man, like depending on what your family dynamic was growing up, like most people know that sugary drinks aren't an all the time thing. Or like McDonald's only happens,
Mate, the amount of times people like, I need to make a change. What do I do? And I'm like, obviously the nitty gritty knowledge stuff people need to learn.
Yeah.
And it's like, even if you have a steak and veg, you might have too much volume, and over the course of the day, you've had too many calories because you actually didn't know how to count it properly, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of knowing what to eat, like the quality of food, most people know what to do.
Yeah.
You know what's good, you know what's bad. You're just not fucking doing it.
Yeah. No, the people, like, the amount of clients that, like, we switch to more whole food options or whatever else, and it's like, how the fuck do I hit my calorie goal? I'm not hungry ever. And it's like, yeah, cool. That's because we're not eating 100 grams of fat with every fucking meal. Like, it's stuff like that. But so the barrier to entry for knowledge should be way lower than it is, I think. And then you should acquire knowledge as you need it, like level up as you need it to progress. That's sort of my take on that. So tracking's good, I think. Yeah. It's a good thing to start with, 100%, if you can. But if it gets to a point where it is too much mental effort, usually the first week of tracking, you know what you shouldn't be doing after that. Yeah. And so you can go ahead and make that change. The last point, obviously, we've made, like, I've tried to make this as like reasonable as possible, but be wary of anyone on the internet particularly who tells you that this is the answer to everything.
I was going to say that in a specific way to people, like, if someone's giving you information, make sure or if you're taking in information, is probably a better way, like, make sure it's someone you trust or know has your best interest at heart.
Yeah. Because
a lot of stuff is shit.
Even then, though, like, I trust my mum, with my whole life.
Yeah.
I would not take her nutritional advice.
No, but like, what I mean is, like, make sure it's someone you trust in terms of knowledge, like, has knowledge in the industry or whatever. But like, 100%, like, people.
Bro, the amount of people whose uncles are like fucking carnivores that go, and it's like, bro, you're literally fucking grey. Like, your skin is grey and you're sweating all the time. So just be aware of anyone who gives absolute answers. And then there's this.
If fat burners worked, everyone would be lean. Just saying.
Yeah. True. The only real fat burner is a liposuction. Yeah. Yeah. Or like your metabolism. But anyways, I think that pretty much covers it. You got anything else to finish up on?
I think we've covered a fair bit. I think we could probably do this in a whole other topic, but just like part of that knowledge is like tips and tricks.
Yes.
Right? That's a whole different thing. But like, tips and tricks are really important to help, not manipulate, but sort of get into that, that mindset, and I guess help guide you in the right direction. Like I said, knowledge is a massive topic. We can probably delve into that sort of stuff on another time. But yeah, I'm thinking pretty good there.
Yeah.